What's up, bitches?
Let's talk about crime.
What's up, bitches?
Hello.
We had a little bit of a mishap. We just recorded like our whole entire intro without actually hitting record. Not we.
It was just the
Not
intro.
we. Not we. It's really Sierra because she has one fucking job and that's to run the soundboard. But, you know,
It's
we did
fine.
a whole thing.
It was just the intro.
It was just the intro, thankfully. Okay, so we are going to just repeat what we just said.
One, we've got all three dogs in here, so
We
hopefully
do.
they'll behave.
If they're jerks, they'll get kicked out. And
two,
we started watching, Sierra had me start watching the story of Natalia Grace. And if you don't know who she is, I'll give you a quick recap. She is a girl who supposedly came to the United States from Ukraine when she was 3 years old or something. I mean, something like that. Not 3 years old. When she was born in 2003, supposedly.
2008 is when she came to the United States.
She came to the United States. She was supposedly 5 years old. However, her adoptive family had come out and claimed that she was lying and that she's like a con artist and that she's not the age. They think she's much older due to a bunch of different factors.
And that she tried to kill them.
And so this documentary is literally, season 1 is kind of like the adoptive dad's side of the story, really, and like the brother. And then Sierra just said that season 2 is actually Natalia's side of the story. So
like, I think a bunch of people are obviously.
I mean,
a bunch of
it's
people are in
obviously,
it,
yeah, but
she comes in,
in
season 2
and says her side. So I'm very curious to see how this ends because I'm going to be honest and tell you that when I first started watching it, I was like, this is interesting. And I did look at Sierra a couple of times and say, I don't fucking trust everything this guy is saying because he's just real weird about it. And then we just watched just episode 2, and now episode 2, people are questioning what really happened as well. So I don't know what is the real story. I don't even know if the real story is out there, but that's what we're watching. And then she also was watching
Ruby Frankie,
who is a
it's
woman.
like the evil that lives in the house or something like
Yeah.
that. And it was I think it's like 3 episodes of that. And then what got me on this kick is I actually had a Saturday off, which is not normal for me. So I was just binge watching a bunch of TV, and The Good American Family, which is it has Ellen Pompeo in it, who plays Meredith Grey in Grey's Anatomy. It's like you know how there's like The Act, which is about like Gypsy Rose and her mom. It's kind of the same thing. It's The Good American Family. It's about the Natalia Grace. I didn't realize that the Natalia Grace thing was like a real thing. So after I had watched The Good American Family's like first or second episode or whatever, however many there's released right now, I went to the Ruby Frankie one, and then it was like, oh, because you watched this, look at this, and I saw the Natalia Grace docuseries, and I was like, we need to watch that.
What are you watching it on?
Hulu.
Well,
okay. Disney Plus.
I was gonna say, like, I find that pretty much every
Hulu has some good shit like that.
Hulu has some good shit. That's where the Texas
Netflix
true
does
crime
too.
murders are too. So there's a lot of up and coming things.
Hulu and Netflix, I feel like they're pretty good with those.
Oh, real. Anyways, that's pretty much all we're doing. So other than that, we can get into what we're talking about today, which is not fun. It's not fun. It's not fun at all, actually. It's pretty fucking terrible, and I really don't like to have to do this one. But it's got to be done because I researched it. So here we go. So what are we talking about today? Well, we are talking about the year 1992 in Madison, Indiana. A girl named Shanda Sharer is murdered. And there are actually 4 girls who are held responsible for this. Melinda Lovelace, Lori Tackett, Hope Rippey, and Tony Lawrence. So first, we're going to do a little background. We're going to talk about Shanda first because she was the victim. So Shanda was born June 6th, 1979 in Pineville, Kentucky. She was born to Stephen and Jacqueline. And at some point, her parents' marriage kind of fizzles and they get divorced. And her mother actually remarries and moves to Louisville, Kentucky. And then Shanda attends 5th and 6th grade at St. Paul School. She was a cheerleader, volleyball player, softball player, well-liked child. Then her mother actually gets another divorce again and moves to New Albany, Indiana. Now, in June 1991, Shanda is then enrolled in Hazelwood Middle School. Now, not too long after she starts school does she actually transfer out of this middle school and transfers to Our Lady of Perpetual Help School. And the school's also in New Albany as well. And when she's there, she actually joins the basketball team. Now, unfortunately, this is all the background I have on Shanda because she's killed when she's 12 years old. So,
Okay.
keep this in mind.
So already hatred's brewing.
Yes.
Okay.
Now we're going to talk about Melinda Lovelace, which
Perfect name.
I was just, the thing is, it's funny. It's not funny. But
Iron.
her name totally fits this whole thing. It's kind of fucking weird. But anyways, so Melinda was born in New Albany, Indiana on October 28th, 1975. And she is the youngest of 3 daughters. Her parents are Marjorie and Larry. Now, Larry was drafted into the Army during the Vietnam War, and Larry ends up actually working on the Southern Railway. And in 1965, he actually becomes a probation officer, but he ends up getting fired when him and his partner decide that they think it's a good idea to assault a man because he thought this man was sleeping with his wife. So him and his partner felt it was okay to assault somebody. So he gets fired.
I mean, I'd probably want to beat the hell out of somebody if I thought they were sleeping with my wife.
Yeah, but you wouldn't as a probation officer, you wouldn't enroll your coworkers to go and take care of this.
You never
unless
know.
You have some
Shit
serious
can go
fucking
south.
Problems. So
that means they're homies right there. Just saying.
So in 1988, Larry actually ends up working as a mail carrier. But again, this job only actually lasts 3 months because he actually decides that he kind of wants to be lazy and just quit the job. And he actually spent most of his days anyways taking the mail from the mail facility and then bringing it home and destroying it instead of actually delivering the mail because he was fucking lazy and didn't want to do it. And then Marjorie, his wife and Melinda's mom, she worked off and on for whatever, just did off and on jobs, right? Now, overall, it sounds like their life was fucking shitty, fucking shitty. It was reported that Larry wasn't actually very nice about his money. And so he wouldn't give his money to anybody, even in his family. His money was his money. And he also was really fucking abusive. So there's that. Now, it was also noted that the couple's girls, they were often seen as hungry and not being taken care of. They would go to school and teachers and people at the school would notice.
Probably malnourished and shit like that.
They're skinny, they're dirty, they're not being taken care of. And so it was noted about that. And there were also accusations later on in life that there was sexual abuse in the household. However, Melinda has actually never come out and corroborated this. She's never actually come out and said, yep, my father sexually abused me or somebody else. Now, Larry does end up leaving the family when Melinda's 14 years old. So the parents, I don't know if they split up or whatever, but he leaves. Basically, he fucking abandons his family because, he sounds like a solid piece of shit husband and father. So he's out the picture. So that's Melinda. Now we're going to talk about Lori Tackett. Now, Lori Tackett was born October 5th, 1974 in Madison, Indiana. Now, her real name is actually Mary Laureen Tackett, but she's nicknamed Lori Tackett. So she goes by Lori, really. So that's what we're going to call her. Her mother was a fundamentalist Pentecostal Christian, so extremely religious. And her father was a factory worker, and he also had 2 felony accounts, so he'd been in jail at some point. Now, Lori also claims that she was molested twice in her younger years at the age of 5 and 12, but who molested her, she's never said. She just says that she has come at the hands of child molestation. Now, in May of 1989, Lori was caught changing. Okay, so hear me out here. Lori was caught changing her dress. So she went to school with a dress on. She got to school and she changed from her dress into her jeans. Her mother found out about it when she got home from school. I don't know how. Maybe she forgot to change back into the dress. Now, by the way, people, this is a thing that we all did. If your mom, Sierra didn't. She just got out the car with the clothes I told her not to wear. And that became a fucking problem. But people did that. They would go out the house the way their parents wanted them to.
Hey, little did you know, I still brought those leggings to school. Just saying.
You see what I mean? Fucking asshole. So
the truth always comes out. Let's be honest.
People do that, right? So, it's not that big of a deal, but because her mom was super religious, it was a very big deal. And so when her mom finds out about it, they get into an argument that night and her mom tries to strangle her over her clothes.
Okay, at least you didn't do that.
No, I just told.
I mean, you kind of wanted to.
I was pissed, but also there's a difference. She went to school in a skirt and a dress and changed to
Also,
jeans.
you would never. I fucking hate wearing dresses. I had one t-shirt dress through all of high school because we had to dress up on game days, and you weren't always allowed to wear leggings for it. And that was my one fucking dress.
Well, and just a real sidebar real quick. The time we're referencing is when Sierra was in middle school. She had a pair of leggings that were basically tights, so they were see-through. And so I told her, don't ever wear those to school by themselves. Like, you need to wear them under shorts or, under a longer dress. And she's like, okay. Well, then one day she goes to get out of the car and she's wearing like a t-shirt and these leggings that
was
are
like the cool thing in middle school, which was like what, 2011, 2012. Like the cool thing in middle school is to wear like just like a t-shirt and leggings or like a sweatshirt and leggings.
And totally
and
fine, but they weren't leggings. They were tights. And so when she got out,
they said leggings on the package.
She went to get out and I saw her underwear and I was like, get back in the car. And she like gets and I go, what did I fucking tell you about those? And she goes, not to wear them to school. I go, then why did you wear them? She goes, because I wanted to.
Nah, let's be honest. She probably saw my ass.
I did
not underwear.
No, you weren't wearing thongs at the time.
Oh.
It was underwear. And so I said, we are going home and changing right now. So I brought her home, made her change. And then what was your punishment? So I said, you will have a consequence. Now, this is the kind of parent I was. I did not fucking beat my children. I don't spank them.
My cousin can attest to this story because he fucking lived with us.
I didn't do anything like that. I mindly played in their mind, right? So I told her.
My brother and I say all the time she mind fucked and abused the hell out of
us. We did not abuse you.
Mentally.
No, I did not, because this was the punishment. She came home and I said, myself and her dad get to pick her clothes for the next week. And then I followed it up with, and I'm going to make sure that shit's ugly as fuck. And then her fucking dad was like, we can't really do that to her because that's not very nice. And I was like, are you kidding? I was literally not going to make her wear ugly clothes, but you know what I was going to make her wear? Dresses, because she didn't want to fucking wear dresses. And so I was going to make her wear dresses and basketball shorts, which are the two things she hated. And my husband wouldn't let me do it.
I'm a shorter person as it is. Like, I'm only 5'4". So in middle school, the
her basketball
shorts literally went to my ankles.
Yeah. So I was going to do that just so that it was like, it's not totally embarrassing. It wasn't going to be like clothes that were not in style, but it was just going to be something she would not wear. My husband,
thank God my dad's
would not let me do it. And then finally on Friday, I said, I'm making her wear basketball shorts. And he's like, fine. So I go to tell her. She starts fucking crying. Hysterically crying. And
because that was like the prime time of being popular.
And my husband literally fucking caved in and did not make her wear them. I was so mad at him. I was like, what is the point of a fucking consequence? He's like, I think she learned her lesson.
Yeah.
No, the fuck she didn't.
And my cousin was laughing his ass off.
Yeah. But that's the kind of parenting. So like, kids did this.
She also would tell us we need to find Jesus.
I said it one time because she did need to find Jesus, because it's either that or I punch her in the face, and I couldn't punch her in the face because she was
now
a kid.
We're adults.
Yeah, she was a kid. I wasn't gonna fucking punch her
when
in
I first
the face.
moved back from college, man, we were this close to just fucking fist fighting each other.
I would have done it too. Anyways, okay,
we both would have.
So so she gets caught doing that, and so her mom basically tries to strangle her for doing this, which I'm like, what the fuck? Now, this specific incident actually leads to social services being called, and the parents actually sit down and agree that they will allow unannounced visits from the social service department for a period of time to make sure that everything's kosher.
Okay.
Now, after Lori's 15th birthday, she then starts to really rebel against her family's values because they were so religiously strict, and she felt like she was being suffocated. So she decides she's going to kind of go against the grain, but she goes a little farther against the grain than you would hope, because she actually engages in self-harm. And it actually worsens after she starts dating. There's another girl that she starts dating, and this girl also does self-harm. So the two of them together do a lot of self-harm. Self-harm as in, cutting, or they'll light lighters and burn themselves, things like that. Now, her parents actually do find out about it, and they do have her admitted to the hospital in 1991, and she is given antidepressants and she is released. Now, 2 days after this, Lori's girlfriend, her friend Tony Lawrence, and Lori, they all help basically cut her wrists so deep that she had to be brought back to the hospital. And at that point, she is admitted to the psychiatric ward because she attempted suicide now. So now she
Bro,
can be
all
in
them
this.
motherfuckers should have been too. Who
But
the
they
fuck
didn't
helps
do it
with that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Her behaviors got worse because of the people she was hanging out with, right? Now, it's while she's in the psychiatric ward that she is diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Now, for those of you that don't know what BPD is, it is, by definition, a mental health condition that affects the way a person feels about themselves and others, and it makes them hard to function in everyday life, which in reality, this could have literally stemmed from her childhood. But other factors like genetics could also have played a part in this. But BPD can be literally a trauma response. So please keep that in mind as well. Now, during her stay in the psychiatric facility, she also talks about having hallucinations since she was 12 years old. Now, she ends up getting discharged in April and she drops out of school in September of 1991. Remember, she's literally like 16 or something at the time. Now, in October of 1991, this is actually when she meets Melinda Lovelace and they become friends. Okay, so they become friends during that time. This leads us into Hope Rippey. Now, Hope Rippey is born in Madison, Indiana, June 9th, 1976. Her father was an engineer at a power plant, and her parents were divorced in February of 1984. She moves with her mother and siblings to Quincy, Michigan, and they actually stay there for 3 years. But her claim is that she had a very turbulent relationship with her family while she was living in Michigan. So I don't know if that means she struggled with her family or if her family in a whole struggled in Michigan. And they end up actually returning back to Indiana. And she, in 1987, her parents actually reconcile, get back together, and they move back to Madison, Indiana. So now their whole family goes back to where she was born. And when she goes back there, she's actually reunited with her two very best friends, Lori Tackett and Tony Lawrence, that she's known since they were little. And Hope her parents actually feel that Lori, and remember, Lori's who we just talked about that was in the psychiatric facility. So Hope's parents feel that Lori's actually a bad influence. But when you have a teenager, it's kind of hard to stop them with hanging out with the people you don't really want them to hang out with. Like, you have to find a way to openly communicate without suffocating, right? They couldn't figure that out.
Oh, no.
Well, no, because you guys were like you guys didn't do that because I pretty much always accepted your friends and I'd rather you guys be here. But when you see your kid hanging out with somebody that's a really bad influence, it's like there's a line that you have to draw, but you need to draw it without making them not want to listen to you, because I was that rebellious kid. When my parents didn't like my friends, I was like, cool, I'm just going to hang out with them more and just not be around you guys. And so you got to find that balance and you just can't. They couldn't with Hope and Lori because they were such good friends. Now, Hope also starts engaging in self-harm at the age of 15, probably from hanging out with Lori and Tony, actually. So this brings us on to Tony Lawrence, who is the fourth girl that was charged for this murder. She was born in Madison, Indiana, February 14th, 1976. Her father was a Boilermaker, and her and Hope had actually been close friends since they were really little. Now, Tony was molested at the age of 9. She was also raped at the age of 14, which the fucked up part about this is that the teenage boy that she was raped by literally was just given an order to stay away from her. No charges were pressed. Now, I have to remind you, she was born in 1976, so that would put her like 1990, in the 90s, right? Now, I know that sounds like it shouldn't happen, but I'm going to tell you right now, a very fucking similar situation happened like this when I was in middle school. And it's not me, like it didn't happen to me, but one of my friend's sisters was raped. She was a year older than I was, and she was raped by a boy in the same grade as all of us. And she went to the police. The police went to the school, to my school that I went to, and they pulled the boy out of class and talked to him and said, we're just going to put in a
restraining order.
Thank you. They said, we're going to put a restraining order. He's not allowed to have any classes with her. He can't have the same lunch as her, and he can't be around her. They did not arrest him. They did not press charges on him because I don't fucking know why, actually. Maybe they didn't believe her. And so what ended up happening with her is she went she's like batshit crazy to this day. It's hard. She became a severe drug addict. She had all these issues, and she moved out of our school district to a different school district to stay away from him. So that is what happened to Tony is very, very possible that she could have been raped and they were just like, no, you know what? You guys are kids being kids, so just stay away from each other type thing. Now, Tony, she actually did try to go to counseling, but it just didn't like stick for her. It wasn't working. She didn't like it. She didn't care. So she actually starts to self-harm as well. This is her way.
Like this fucking self-harm club? What the fuck?
Well, you got to think of the times though. This is the 90s. Like that was a thing in the 90s. It's just a different time. And it's kind of like the teenage pregnancy thing. When you hang out with a bunch of people who are pregnant, chances are you're going to get pregnant because your activities and how you live your life. Hey, it happened to me. When I got pregnant with you, all of your dad's friends had all of his friends that were girls were either pregnant or had a baby. All of them. Literally, there's not one person that he hung out with on a daily basis that did not have a baby before I did. So it's just kind of like the way it goes. And it's because the activities you engage them in with people that you surround yourself. So if you're somebody who is cutting and you have people who are like-minded, they're going to try cutting too as a way to deal. And you got to remember, think of these girls' backgrounds. All of them suffered some sort of abuse, okay, in some sort of way, whether it's sexual, physical, or both. All of them did. So what's a connection that they can have? And none of them are going to therapy. So what are they doing? They're self-harming to help with that's just how some people cope with their mental issues, right? So she starts to self-harm as well. She also becomes promiscuous. And for those of you who think that's a weird thing, that is so common for younger kids who've been sexually assaulted or raped. One of the ways they deal with it is they become promiscuous. They just I don't know why, because our brains are what they are. She also tried to commit suicide when she was in the 8th grade. You have to remember, in 1992, they were in middle school. Some of them were in middle school, right? When I was in middle school, which I would have been in middle school in the 90s, when I was in 7th grade, we had 2 people commit suicide at my school in middle school. And it was one of those things. It was like one girl committed suicide and then a couple months later, the other girl committed suicide. And they were friends, but not like best friends. But there was a fear that there was going to be like a trickle down effect of multiple kids committing suicide.
I was like in high school, my senior year. Remember that kid committed suicide like 2 weeks before graduation? And then his best friend did a month after graduation.
So this is why like the self-harm thing happens. Because when you have all these kids who are best friends and they're hanging out, because you figure out of the 4 of them, 2 of them had tried to commit suicide. So it's like they just fit well together. That's why they found each other in middle school to be friends.
Well, and they can rely on each other to talk about those issues, and they all understand.
Now, this all starts, this whole scenario. Let me just talk about that. Okay, so let's just say that is the background on the girls. Okay. Now, this whole situation with Shanda, which is the victim, this all starts when Shanda starts attending her new school, Hazelwood Middle School. So you have to remember, these girls have all known each other forever. And then this new girl comes in, Shanda. She's new. She goes to this middle school. She's 12 years old. She's young, and she's honestly just trying to make friends because she's trying to basically get what she had at her old school in 5th and 6th grade. Because back in the day, middle school was 7th, 8th, and 9th grade most of the time. Like I went to a 7th, 8th, and 9th grade.
Which is so weird for me because mine was
6, 7, 8.
1 through 5, or 6, 7, 8, and then 9 through 12.
Yeah. And I think it's that now. Actually, I think they changed that now at what my middle school was. But back in the day, it was actually, they took freshmen out.
Well, my cousin that lived there, his was the same way.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying is they've changed it. But what they originally did is it was 7, 8, 9. Then they took the 9th graders, put them in high school, and kept it as 7 and 8 for a long time. And then they added 6th graders. And so then it's 6, 7, and 8. That's what it is. But again, you got to remember that Shanda attended 5th and 6th grade at a different school. So she was in 7th grade. So this whole situation starts because Shanda shows up at this new school. Well, while she's here, she's trying to make friends. And she ends up meeting 15-year-old Amanda Heverin. Now, I know people are like, what the hell? 15? Yeah, she was probably a freshman. And they probably went to the school together. It was probably 7, 8, 9 because they had school together. And Shanda was kind of a young 7th grader. As a matter of fact, in the documentary I watched, her mom even said like Shanda hated that she looked so young because she was young, and she actually hated being that she was like one of the younger kids. Like she felt like a baby compared to everybody else. Now,
I mean, that was me.
yeah,
I was young for the grades that I was in. I was supposed to graduate 2019 and I graduated 2018.
Exactly. Now, Amanda and Shanda actually become friends, and they kind of get kind of close. And actually, it kind of sounds like they were starting to date. And Amanda actually had a previous girlfriend as well, and her previous girlfriend was Melinda Lovelace. So her and Melinda had been dating, and they kind of faded. But while they were dating, they were literally inseparable, according to everybody. Like, you saw Melinda, you saw Amanda. Now, they're all around the school all the time. They hang out everywhere together, and then they end up getting detention. So the story goes something about Shanda and Amanda get into like an argument at the school, and they get sent to detention. And Melinda also gets detention at the same time, and they also end up into detention together. But Amanda and Shanda have now like made up, and they're starting to like get to know each other and be friendly. And Melinda sees them, and she's like, what the fuck? Because they never like broke up, but now her girlfriend is like hanging out with this young, new girl that she doesn't really like. Now, Melinda becomes jealous because the two girls are hanging out more, and she decides that she wants to teach Shanda a lesson. So in October of 1991, Amanda asks Shanda if she wants to go to the school dance as her date. And so they go together. They're hanging out. They're having a good time. Well, while they're at this dance, Melinda shows up, and she takes it upon herself to approach 12-year-old Shanda about her relationship with Amanda. And this confrontation actually leads to Shanda's mother enrolling her in another school. So if you remember in the beginning, I said that she was not at Hazelwood Middle School for very long because she got moved to a different school. That is why. Because she was having these issues, and her mom was like, we're not fucking doing this shit. So her mom does the right thing and takes her out of school. And she also tells Shanda, I want you to stop talking to this Amanda girl. I know she's your friend, but I just want you to stop talking to her because it's not good. Well, that doesn't really stop them. That doesn't stop them from talking. They still talk to each other every once in a while. And this really doesn't stop the hatred that Melinda has for Shanda. Like, she literally hates her guts over this girl, right? So on January 10th of 1992, the four girls actually show up at Shanda's father's house. Now, Hope and Tony are sent to the door. They have never met Shanda before, but Melinda tells them, go to the door, knock on the door, and tell them that they were sent there by Amanda and that Amanda wants to talk to Shanda. Tell Shanda that. And so they knock on the door, and they tell Shanda that Amanda wants to see her and that she's waiting at the witch's castle. Now, the witch's castle is like this like empty fucking building like in their like city area. Now, Shanda tells the girls, because her like stepmom is standing behind her, and she's like, I got shit to do. So like, come back later. Right? She's like, no, I can't go right now. I got stuff to do. Come back later. Right? Like, that's what she tells them. So she tells him to come back after midnight when her dad and her stepmom were asleep, and then she would try to come out there or whatever. Now, the four girls end up going back to the house later. And by this time, Melinda has already expressed how pissed off she is that Shanda didn't come out the first time. She has also expressed apparently that she wants to kill Shanda, and that she also reportedly said that she was going to use the knife to scare Shanda. So she was like, I would like to kill her. I've got this knife. I'm going to fucking scare the shit out of her. That was what she supposedly said. However, there were reports from other people who were in the car that supposedly said one of the girls in the car said, we're going to kill a little girl tonight. So I'm assuming they all had the idea they were going to be doing something not so good, regardless. And scaring a 12-year-old kid with a knife, regardless, not a good idea. So they go back, and Tony actually refuses to go up to the house because she's already like, something does not fucking sound right. I am not comfortable with what's going on. You have a knife. You're telling me that you want to kill her. You're telling me that you want to scare her. Like, nope, I'm not doing this. And so Hope actually goes up there with Lori. Well, when they knock on the door, when Shanda opens it, she kind of is like, what the fuck? Because they're different people. But then she recognizes Hope from earlier. And she's like, oh, okay, I guess this is one of Amanda's friends. And so they're telling her like, hey, Amanda still wants to see you. Like, she's in the car. Like right now, like just come out to the car and talk to her really quick. So she was like, yeah, okay, like I'll go out there. Well, her mom, Shanda's mom, has said that the reason they think that she was told, because the thought is that she was told Amanda was in the car, was because she went outside, and this is in January in fucking Indiana, so it's not hot. It's very cold. She went outside with literally no shoes on, no jacket, and she left her purse. And her mom said the only way she would leave her purse in particular is if she wasn't planning on leaving, because she would have taken that purse with her. So the thought process is they were like, just come outside and come see her. She wants to talk to you. She's in the car. Somehow, some way, she ends up being put in the car. Whether she was coerced and they said, no, she's not here, she's at Witch's Castle, because that's one of the things that has been said. Whether they fucking like pushed her in the car and said, no, she's not here, we're going to go take you to her. Regardless, she was somehow put into this car. Now, when she gets in, there are 3 people in the car, but there are 4 girls who showed up. But there are 3 people in the car because Melinda is hiding in the back under a fucking blanket. Okay. Because if Melinda would have been there, she would have never gotten in the car because she knew Melinda didn't like her. And all of a sudden, Melinda pops up from behind the fucking car, or from behind her, under the fucking blanket that she was hiding under, and holds a knife to the throat of Shanda and wants to know all these questions. She has all these questions about her relationship with Amanda. She's like grilling her on these questions. Well, the girls end up bringing Shanda to the witch's castle. So they really do show up there, which is, it's like, again, it's an abandoned structure, and it's like in a kind of secluded area, but not super secluded. Now it's inside this area that they continue to taunt Shanda, and they're telling her that the witch's castle is known for having human remains and that she was going to be the next one. At one point, Lori goes back to her car and she picks up a shirt and brings it back into like this structure and lights the shirt on fire. And then all of a sudden the girls are like, what the fuck? Like, oh, somebody's going to see the fucking fire. Like, so they hurry up and like put it out, and they grab Shanda and they jump in the car and they leave. Because they're like, well, fuck, now we can't keep her here. Now, Hope and Tony actually stay in the car while Melinda and Lori go and drive out to like a super like heavily wooded area with Shanda. And Hope and Tony decide they're staying in the car. Well, Melinda and Lori get out of the car. They take Shanda out of the car, and they take turns beating the shit out of Shanda in multiple ways. Now, at one point, Hope does come out of the car, and she actually holds Shanda down so that they can beat her and basically beat the fuck out of her. They also, Melinda and Lori also take turns stabbing Shanda, and then they also follow that up by strangling her with a rope. Then they put her body in the trunk of the car, and they tell the girls, like, yep, she's fucking dead. So they put her in the trunk. Now, I'm not going to go into a ton of detail on what happened because it makes me sick to my stomach. I'm not going to lie. But what I will tell you is that they drove back to one of the girls' homes. I don't really remember which one, but I'm pretty sure it was Melinda's home. They drive back to that home with the body in the trunk, and they get out. And as they get out, they're like, what the fuck? They can hear banging and screaming from the trunk. So nope, she's not dead. So Lori ends up going back out, or the girls go inside. Lori comes back out. She opens up the trunk, takes a tire iron, and beats the shit out of Shanda and kills her. But they also did a hell of a lot more than that. And I am just going to I'm not going into detail, but I'm going to tell you the things that you could do with a tire iron that you would never wish upon your worst enemy were done to this girl, who is 12. Okay, so just remember that. Now, the 4 girls do end up the next morning, like early in the fucking morning, they wake up and they're like, what are we going to do with the body? So they get in the car and they drive out to a field somewhere near Madison, Indiana. And it is here that they take her body out of the trunk. They cover her with a blanket. They pour gasoline all over her. They set her on fire. And she was still alive when they set her on fire. And she died. It's awful. Because one of them even said that the last words she said was mommy. So she was definitely alive because one of the girls admitted that they heard her crying for her mom as she's being burned alive. At any point, one of those girls could have stepped up and said, what the fuck are we doing? Because the thing that I get tired of is, they're 15, 16, 17 years old. Their frontal lobe's not closed. No, you're right. Their frontal lobes are not closed. but no, that's a rash. That frontal
Dude, I
lobe.
knew at that fucking age that's
Well,
not okay.
And frontal lobe controls your emotional things, right? So Melinda Loveless is probably the only one that has the frontal lobe excuse because this was her emotions taking over. Okay, so yeah, no, I don't buy it and I don't like it. So anyways, so that happens. Okay, well, while Melinda and Lori actually seem really happy about the murder, they actually thought it was funny. They went and got fucking breakfast at like McDonald's and they were making fun of Shanda's body by saying that their sausage on their McMuffins or whatever looked like Shanda's body. The two girls are laughing and making fun of it. Hope and Tony were not happy. And if I'm being honest, Hope and Tony actually didn't do any. Hope did one thing. She held the body down. That is true. Tony, I don't think Tony even did anything other than be an accomplice. One of the two, though, I can't remember which one because it said it in the documentary, but I'm pretty sure it was Hope, poured the gasoline on her body. But that's, I mean, literally, they didn't beat her up. They didn't kill her. They didn't do any of that stuff. They were accomplices. But I'm thinking that Hope was the one who held her down and poured the gasoline on her. I think Tony just sat in the car like fucking frozen, like, I don't know what to do. So Tony actually ends up showing up with her parents to the police department to tell them what happened because she was so distraught. Which also good on you, Tony, for doing that. Because it was literally within like hours of this happening. It was not like, as a matter of fact, two hunters had actually come across Shanda's body, and around the same time, she's already at the police department telling them what happened. So good on her for doing at least that much. She didn't do anything to stop it in the moment, but she couldn't live with the fact of what she saw. So good for her, because I genuinely don't know if they would have found out who did this to her because she snuck out of her parents' house, right? So, or out of her dad's house. So I don't know if they ever would have found anything. So within hours of within hours of Tony confessing what happened, all four girls were arrested. And actually, I did see reports that Hope and Tony both showed up at the police station with with their sets of parents. I don't actually know if both of them did, but one of them showed up and told the cops. So all four girls were charged as adults for this crime. So Tony Lawrence was 15, Hope Rippey was 15, Lori Tackett was 17, and Melinda Loveless was 16. So that's how old they were when they did this, and they were all charged as adults, which they should be.
Okay, especially the Lori bitch. You were almost 18.
She was almost
fucking
18
years old.
Yeah.
You definitely know right from wrong.
Yeah.
That's a 12-year-old child.
Yep. Now, to avoid the death penalty, all four girls accepted plea deals. Okay.
They shouldn't.
No, I'm actually okay with that because the thing is with the first of all, none of them would have ever been given the death penalty. They don't give the death penalty to anybody under fucking 18 ever. So one, yeah, sure, because now you gotta you'd have to try to fight that. So they did.
But they were being tried as adults.
Okay, but listen, yeah, but they can't get the death penalty. Their age matters.
That's fucking dumb.
Okay, so Tony pleads guilty to one count of criminal confinement. So she's the one who told. She's the one who told and actually didn't do anything. So that seems fair to me. So criminal confinement, I think, is like kidnapping her. So she was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Now,
That's okay. That seems kind of a long time, I feel
that's what I thought too. But I think it's the crime, right? So then Hope, she pleads guilty, and she actually initially receives 60 years with a 10-year suspended for mitigating circumstances. But this was appealed because they're like, dude, she actually didn't do anything. Like, she physically didn't really do anything. She was coerced. She was, manipulated. And so they appealed her sentence, and it was reduced to 35 years. So she gets 35 years. Lori pleads guilty. She gets sentenced to 60 years. Melinda pleads guilty. She also is sentenced to 60 years.
Yeah, I feel like Lori should have had life in prison.
I feel like Lori...
At a minimum.
I feel like...
Because she's the one that, essentially thought killed her.
I think Lori and Melinda both should have been sentenced to life in prison because it was Melinda's idea. This whole thing was Melinda's idea. And Lori would have never... Lori didn't even fucking know who she was until that night. So Lori would have never done this if it wasn't for Melinda. And so Melinda was like the ringleader. And then Lori was kind of like the muscle, kind of really. Like she seemed to have more initiative to do it. Unfortunately, this is not the end. And honestly, this ending is probably going to upset every single person listening to this. So I apologize. Tony, the one who did not do anything, she was actually released from prison in the year 2000. She only served 9 years. She was on parole for 2 years. And when she got out of prison, she changed her name and she lives a super low profile now and nobody knows who or where she is. To be fair, I'm okay with that. That one doesn't bother me because, again, she is the reason that this whole thing ended. So I'm okay with her. She served 9 years. I'm actually okay with that, right? Because she didn't do anything and she is the reason that these girls got caught. So I'm okay with that. Hope is actually released from prison on April 28th, 2006. Now, she ended up serving 14 of her 35-year sentence. She was on supervised parole for another 5 years. So she actually, if you want to add the supervised parole, it's in 19 years that she was under the watch and eye of the law. And she, again, remains to live a super low profile. People don't know who she is, where she is, or what she's doing with her life, which, okay. Again, I'm actually not too horribly upset about that one because, again, it's one of those accomplice situations.
I'm just going to preface this with my mom's already warned me before even doing this podcast because these people are still alive. So if I don't have the normal reaction, that's why. Just saying.
Lori was released from prison January 2018. She served 26 of her 60 years. She had 1 year of parole. She also lives a very low profile and nothing is known about her or her whereabouts. And then Melinda was released in September of 2019. She served 27 years and she also changed her name and has completely stayed out of the public's eye. Now, while Melinda was in prison, believe me, I have some things to say, but I'm just going to finish this out and then we can say some stuff. So while Melinda was in prison, she actually became a part of the ICANN, which is training dogs for people with disabilities. So that's what she did while she was in prison. Now, one of the trainers who worked with Melinda had actually talked to Shanda's mom and was like, I want you just to watch a video. I have a video of Melinda working with these dogs, and I just want you to see what kind of a person she is today versus, back when she killed your daughter. So Shanda's mom ends up agreeing to watch the video.
She's nice. I would have smashed that bitch in her face.
I agree. So Shanda's mom says after she watched the video, her literal quote is, I was really taken aback. I saw someone almost reborn. She was sincere. She was compassionate. I think the ICANN program allows her to have something in her life that she can show love back to, that she can show love back to, and there's never betrayal on either side. Now, Shanda's mom also actually ends up donating a dog to the program specifically for Melinda to train. And Melinda said about this donated dog, she said, she helped me to heal, forgive, and grow, whether she wanted that or not. She did a good thing. I would thank her. I couldn't thank her enough. Angel, which is the dog, Angel is in good hands, and I'm doing it for Shanda, and I'm doing it for her. So all I can say about this is Shanda's mom is a much better fucking person than I am, because I genuinely feel that the justice system was extremely unfair in this situation. And I will never understand how people can kill a child and not serve a full sentence. And again, we should never, ever, ever be able to use mental health or your background of abuse as an excuse for bad behavior. There should still be consequences for the behavior, and taking a life should be a much longer sentence than what these girls had, in my opinion. Now, I was very upset by this. I did not know that the girls got out of prison until when I was towards the end of researching, because when I research in chronological order. I have like 17 fucking sources up, and I read backgrounds first. Then I go to the crime. Then I go to their prisons. And then I found out they were released. I can tell you, I probably would not have actually done this one had I known they got out of prison, because it bothers me that much. However,
I've got a lot that I want to say, but I'm not going to say it.
However, I have this to throw out to you because it's been bothering me since I researched this. I'm upset by it. I think it's fucked up. A 12-year-old child, not only did she die, but she was tortured for hours and was burned alive. And all of the girls who did this are free living their life. However, here's my posed question. I know that their age had a lot to do with it. I know that. I read that. Part of their release was because they were so young. And another part was all of them have a bad background, which again, we don't fucking use that as an excuse, but the prison system does. The justice system uses your background as a sentencing structure. But the only way I can wrap my brain around this is if these girls can get out of jail because they premeditated and killed a 12-year-old girl, why the fuck is the Menendez brothers still in jail?
And we'll keep saying that until they're
I'll
out.
see, and I know one of the things I see a lot of people say is, well, they were in their 20s. I don't give a fuck. You want to know something real crazy? You want to talk about frontal lobe? It doesn't close till you're 25. Neither one of those kids were 25 when they killed their parents. So why don't they get to use the frontal lobe excuse? So why are they still in jail, but these girls get to be out? That I don't understand. And so the only thing I can do to wrap my brain around it is if we think, because I do think, if we think the Menendez brothers deserve to be out of jail for killing their parents when they're in their 20s, then I guess these girls should also be allowed to be out of jail when they're in their 20s and 30s because they did the crime as a child and they did it because they made poor choices. And I say that because with the Menendez brothers, they did not kill their parents in the middle of being abused. They plotted and planned and made a plan to kill their parents and made it look like somebody broke in and killed their parents. So I understand the father abused them. I understand there's a reason behind it. But my point is, if we're going to say that the Menendez brothers should be out of jail, if we're going to say Gypsy Rose is okay to be out of jail now because of what her mother did to her and because she was young and she needed to get out of her situation, then I guess these girls served their time because they all have the two that did the murders, they served 26 and 27 years. So it makes me so fucking angry. But at the same time, if Shanda's mom can look at Melinda Lovelace, who is one of the ones responsible for her daughter's death, and say, this girl is totally different. Because when she first saw Melinda Lovelace, like when they were in their like trials and stuff, she used to say, like, if you want to see evil, just look in Melinda Lovelace's eyes. And she doesn't feel that way about Melinda. I'm not saying they're friends. I'm not saying she's forgiven. But what I'm saying is she's looking at this girl who's now a woman and saying something's different about her now. So all I'm saying, the only way I can wrap my brain around this is that if Shanda's mom can be okay with it, I guess we have to too, because I didn't know Shanda. But I don't understand it. I will never understand a situation like this because for me, my kids, you are 20 something years old. I will not say your true age, but you are 20 something years old. If you were ever burned alive, you bet your fucking ass I will die killing the people who did it. And I don't give a motherfucking damn if they spent their whole ass life in jail and got out. I will be right there waiting to kill them when they walk out that door.
I understand the whole frontal lobe thing, but at the same time, I don't, because when I was that age, not granted, it's not like my friends were trying to plot a fucking death of somebody, but when I was that age and when I was growing up, or even my brother, we knew that shit was wrong. Like that's
the
what
frontal lobe
doesn't make sense to me.
Frontal lobe doesn't make you feel.
No, that's why I'm saying it doesn't make sense why they use that as an excuse though. Because
I'm going to tell you.
No.
With
their ages.
I'm going to tell you. So your frontal lobe closing has nothing to do with knowing right from wrong. Your frontal lobe closing, what it is your frontal lobe is the last part of your brain to fully mature. And what that means, your frontal lobe is your emotions, what controls your emotions and decisions you make in the heat of the moment type things. So I can see that excuse being used for Melinda Lovelace being that upset over her girlfriend having a friendship or whatever with a 12-year-old. I can see that. I could even see Melinda Lovelace wanting to kill somebody for that because her frontal lobe doesn't know how to control her emotions yet. Couple that with the fact that she was abused. That is 100%. I can see the excuse. I can see the thought behind it. But having a mental health disorder or having abuse in your background is not an excuse to kill somebody. I don't give a damn what you think. I don't care if you're 15 or 25. And again, why, if the frontal lobe is the real thing, because I really don't think it's the frontal lobe. If I'm being honest, it's because in our society, and I actually feel this way, in our society, killing or putting to death somebody who is even 18, 19, 20-year-olds, that's a rough ass thing to do. Because at the end of the day, everybody makes shitty mistakes, and no, not everybody kills people. But I mean, you make shitty mistakes all throughout your life. But the older you get, the more mature you are, right? So what their whole point is, and I understand it, is that these are girls that came from really actually terrible backgrounds. So already they're set up to really fail in life because they don't have the support they need. But then on top of it, they do this crime. And so they're basically saying, like, why are we going to completely destroy these 4 girls' life when 2 of them didn't really even do anything, and the other 2, they went to prison and they completely, I don't know if they went through therapy or I don't know what they did in prison, but they became full-fledged adults that apparently were great people in prison enough that they felt that they had served enough time to get out after killing a 12-year-old girl.
I hope, especially for Lori and
Melinda,
I hope that shit haunts them for the rest of their lives, and I hope that they still hate themselves.
I do too.
I know that they're still alive, and if they hear it, I really don't give
No,
a fuck.
I do too.
But
and to be honest, no.
I hope that they will die hating themselves, and I hope that it will haunt them for the rest of their lives, and they will never forgive themselves, even if her mom forgives them.
I'll be honest with you, based off the things I read about Melinda in prison, I do feel that's the way she is.
I fucking hope so.
And that's the thing. I
hope peace never fucking comes for them.
So that's the thing for me, Sierra, that makes me kind of go, okay, well, you have to accept it. We don't have a choice. Like, we have to accept that this is what happened. I think.
Yeah, but you can wish ill will on the rest of their fucking freedom, and that's what I'm doing.
You can. But at the end of the day, that's because we hold grudges like a motherfucker. And I would never be okay.
And it's a child.
I would never be okay with this.
You took her fucking future away from her.
Absolutely. And
over what? A petty fucking girlfriend in middle school?
But here's the thing. So
Jeez,
they
Louise.
did do an interview with the Lori girl, like right after she got out of prison or right before she got out of prison. And she had a whole lot to say. And it was very much, you could tell, it's regret. It is like, you can see it. So I get it. They look at these girls in prison, these women in prison, and go, okay, well, you can tell that they obviously feel bad. And maybe they do. You know what? Maybe these girls went through some serious, extensive counseling and have come to the realization that what they did was terrible, awful, horrific, and that you grow up and go, fuck. Now, it's not the same thing. Okay, this is not the same thing. However, when I was a middle school and high school student, more high school actually than middle school, when I was a high school student, I could be one mean son of a bitch. I can tell you right fucking now that the group of people I hung out with, we did a lot of really bad shit.
Yeah, but when you were 17, if somebody would have tried to fucking kill a 12-year-old, you're telling me you would have... Exactly.
Absolutely not.
Exactly.
I would have stepped in. I would have. But I don't have the background of being abused. I don't have the background of being sexually assaulted. I don't have those things. And that's what I'm trying to say is that even though it doesn't excuse what they did, I do understand that there is like a weirdness to how this happens. And so it's one of those things that I am not okay with the outcome. I want to make that very clear. I think that all the girls should have served their full sentences, because what the fuck I'm tired of is why the fuck we give out sentences and then they don't serve them. I don't understand why we're handing down a 60-year sentence for a murder and then not even halfway through you let him go.
That's what
I
bothers
don't
me.
understand.
I feel like you should at a minimum always have to serve at least half of your sentence.
I agree, because I think that Lori and Melinda should have done 30 years at least. I know that Melinda did 27, but that 3 years makes a difference to me.
Again, I feel like they should have gotten fucking life in prison without parole.
Okay, but you do understand life in prison is typically 25 years before you can be paroled, unless you get life in prison without parole. And that's
what I just said. Life in prison without parole.
They won't do that to a child. When you look around, they will
Sometimes
not do that to a child.
Sometimes I fucking wish I was a judge.
But you got to think about that, though.
They'd probably fire me because I'd be locking bitches up for life.
Yes, but the thing is, like, you also have to think about the only way I can have peace in my mind about this story is because I read what Shanda's mom, and I read about what Shanda's mom felt. Because to be honest with you, Shanda was not my daughter, and I already said. And I'm sure I wasn't planning on saying this, but I'm just going to say, I had talked this over with your dad. I told him about it. And I said, I'm going to tell you right now, if I was her mom, I'd be sitting outside that prison and killing them girls as soon as they walked out. And then I would go to jail and not give a fuck for the rest of my life. Because the thing is, her mom is just by herself. So bitch, try me. I'll go to jail for the rest of my life to avenge my daughter, 100%, because I hold a grudge. But I also am a hateful, awful ass person. Her mom is not. And her mom has been able to at least come to a common something.
Well, I would say it wasn't even that severe, but when I was in like, fourth grade, I got bullied super bad. And we moved from Oregon to Washington because of it.
Yep.
And so it makes me think about that and that time frame.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's one of those things that because her mom has been able to kind of find peace with it, I have no choice but to find peace because I don't get to hold a grudge about somebody that I don't know.
This might be one of the ones out
It's
of all the
awful.
ones that we have recorded. This might be the one that I hate the most.
I hate this one. I hated doing it. Actually, I didn't hate doing it until I fucking found out they got out of prison.
Yeah.
And then I hated it, but I didn't want to have to go back and fucking find somebody else. And I was like, I guess we'll talk about it. To the girls, the 4 girls who got out of prison, I don't know where they are. I don't know what their life is like. And to be honest with you, I don't
hope
care.
It's not good.
I don't even care. I didn't even try to figure out who they were, where they're located.
Because they're not worth
I don't
it.
care. It's not worth my time. It's not. You did something terrible. And no, you shouldn't judge people based purely on their past. I understand that. But you can have your past held against you, especially when I don't feel the justice system was fair. I don't know why they got out of prison early. I'm sure it was good behavior and the fact that they were young when they went in. But again, so here's where we are going to end it. If those girls can get out of prison for killing an innocent 12-year-old girl, premeditated, fucking burning her alive, why the fuck are the Menendez brothers still in jail?
God knows what with the tire iron.
Yes. But yet the Menendez brothers are still in jail for killing their abusive ass father and shitty ass mom. Just because they were in their 20s? Like, are you fucking playing with me right now? Give me a break. So that story sucks ass. So that was the story that was what happened to Shanda Sharer. So I apologize. This one really sucks
bitches
ass.
from hell.
I'm sorry. It had to be done. I was not looking forward to it, but now it's over, and hopefully next week we have a better one. And I say better, but they all suck ass because they're all about murder. They're all about murder.
Find me
so
one where they don't get out.
I know. That's so hard because our justice system sucks so bad. So bad. This is like blah. But anyways. Okay. So this is the part where I say thank you so much for listening to us. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings or bothered you with this story because it totally hurt my feelings.
I hope
and
you need a fucking rage room like I do.
I am like so sad. But we are here. If you like what you hear, continue to follow us. And yeah, make sure you're just following us on all, at least the platform that you listen to us on. Share us with your friends if you think it's something they would like. And I'm just going to get on here now and say, catch you on the flip side, bitches.
Bye, bitches.